At 54, the story of Padraig Harrington is not one defined by scandal or sudden catastrophe, but by something far more human and quietly heartbreaking: the relentless passage of time, the weight of expectations, and the emotional toll that decades of elite competition can leave on even the strongest champions. For golf fans around the world, Harrington will always be remembered as one of Ireland's greatest sports heroes, a man whose relentless work ethic and mental toughness carried him to the very top of the sport. His career reached its peak when he captured multiple major championships, including 2 consecutive victories at the Open Championship in 2007 and 2008, followed by his triumph at the PGA Championship in 2008. For a brief moment in time, Harrington stood among the giants of golf, admired for his analytical mind, his dedication to improvement, and his refusal to ever believe he had mastered the game. But the same obsessive drive that made him great also brought immense pressure, because in golf, success is fragile and the difference between victory and frustration can be just a single swing. As the years passed, Harrington faced the harsh reality that every athlete eventually encounters: younger players emerging, physical recovery becoming slower, and the margin for error shrinking with age. The public often sees only trophies and highlights, but behind the scenes, Harrington spent countless hours battling self-doubt, injuries, and the emotional strain of trying to maintain the standards he once set for himself. Golf is a uniquely psychological sport, and few players have spoken as openly as Harrington about the mental battles that accompany it. Even after becoming a major champion, he continued to question his swing, constantly searching for perfection, sometimes rebuilding his technique from scratch in pursuit of improvement. While this relentless mindset helped him achieve greatness, it also meant he rarely allowed himself to feel satisfied. Many athletes struggle when their peak years begin to fade, but for someone as analytical and driven as Harrington, that transition can feel particularly painful. Watching younger stars dominate leaderboards while memories of past glory linger can be a difficult emotional experience, especially for someone who once stood at the summit of the sport. Yet Harrington's story is not simply about decline. It is about resilience and identity beyond trophies. Even as he moved beyond the height of his competitive dominance, he continued contributing to golf in meaningful ways, including serving as the European captain during the Ryder Cup, one of the sport's most prestigious and emotionally charged competitions. Leadership roles like this showed a different side of Harrington, one focused on mentoring younger players and sharing the wisdom gained through decades of triumphs and disappointments. Still, the emotional complexity of aging in professional sports remains real. For fans who once watched him dominate major championships, seeing the passage of time reflected in their hero can be surprisingly moving. The tragedy, if it can be called that, lies not in scandal or downfall but in the universal truth that greatness is temporary, even for the most disciplined champions. Harrington's journey reminds us that behind every athlete is a human being navigating ambition, self-criticism, and the inevitable changes that come with time. Yet perhaps the most inspiring part of his story is that he continues to face those realities with honesty and determination. Rather than disappearing quietly, he remains engaged with the sport he loves, still studying the mechanics of the golf swing, still competing, and still chasing improvement in ways that define his character. In many ways, Harrington's life today reflects a deeper kind of victory, accepting that the glory years may fade while still finding purpose, passion, and pride in the journey itself. For fans who grew up watching him lift trophies, that realization can feel bittersweet, but it also highlights why Padraig Harrington's legacy will endure, not just because of the championships he won, but because of the relentless spirit with which he pursued excellence, even when the game he loved refused to be conquered forever.